whatever track that is, but we're on it. Hey there, Mr. Beach, how are you?
Why am I not seeing that agenda?
Hey, Matt, how are you? Fabulous, yourself?
No idea.
Had a big scare today, huh? Thomas, I'm doing good.
Get the camera all closed up now? No.
Oh.
1 more week.
Yeah, let's get in touch with you on some advertising for the live streams.
Oh. Yeah, I've been hitting him off to see if he wants to do it, but I don't know. Put some pressure on him?
I talked to him the last week.
Okay.
You have printed off
What up there too? What's the electrician?
cost information and what you get for it.
Oh, okay.
Put that on the desk this morning.
Good, thank you.
It's a good spot to.
Not bad.
He's viewing this year, you
Yeah.
know, so.
So
Is it too late to get in the fall season or?
I kind of have it all kind of set
But
right
I kind of
now.
figured,
Yeah.
yeah. But it's winter still there.
Oh, yeah, we'll take his money.
new 35 to 50.
Yeah.
No, we're excited, we got some new cameras and some new stuff, so we're bummed we missed out on Friday night.
Is there anybody else that we're waiting for?
They are streaming it there, so it's yours, or you just get it?
I never seen it, just got it.
Yes.
I hadn't seen it.
That's all I know.
Yep.
Otherwise, I am not aware.
Suck it in when you walk in there.
Tall enough for the house to do that.
Short guys like me would have to.
Who's that? Yeah.
Matt, do you know what time Paul's going to be here?
I told him 5, so it'd
Okay.
be 6:30.
He's always right on time?
Yeah, he should be here soon, I would think. I think we're later on the agenda, so.
Yeah, so Jeff's not going to be here tonight, right? He's correct. He's not going to be here. So, yeah, well, we'll just go ahead and call this meeting to order, I think. Is there anybody else that any of you guys are waiting on? Okay. Well, let's have a report from the school.
There's lots to report on. So we are obviously in the middle of our building project. And I don't know if any of you had a chance. We did a kind of a virtual tour of that project in progress on a Facebook Live event. A week ago, last Monday in September is what it was, September 28th. I think that video and stuff is now posted to our website, so that's continues its work. The students are in the career tech piece, the remodel piece of the project. They're using the remodel space. So yeah, it's busy, but it's going well. And then we are learning about education and how we can operate in the world we live in today, because it's very different than what it was pre-March of 2020. So it's been kind of an interesting time, not only to be in school, but at school and involved in it. And it's certainly a learning process. It's kind of where things are at. What else did you want to add? Anything else, Thomas?
No, I'm just piggyback off what you said with the facility project going on right now. It's been wonderful to see the changes within the district and the daily, weekly changes that are going on over there with those facilities. And that last walkthrough tour, we commented to Matt that it's almost emotional to kind of see our district growing like this, our facility growing like this, and then to know what's going to come for the district in the future is wonderful. So we're excited.
You have questions at all about school?
I have one question that I don't want to bring up, but I'm going to anyway. How's the 221 COVID whole scenario working with everybody?
Say that one more time.
The COVID with the students come in 2 days and 1 off, or 4 days. Is it working okay with the families and everything? That's kind of my question.
So right now, our elementary school is 5 days a week. All students are there 5 days a week. And then our secondary is in hybrid mode. So students are all required 2 days a week. We have given families the option to opt in for a 3rd day or a 4th day. For the most part, things have been going very well. And I think families that are enrolled and attending are happy with where things are at. Public schools right now are taking a significant hit. I had attended a meeting where I believe it was 7 of the 10 school districts in Stearns County were participating in the meeting, and all of the school districts in the county are down significantly in enrollment from this time of year. There's obviously been some families that have chosen to homeschool, a number of online providers that have enrolled a significant number of Minnesota students statewide. So that is something that's concerning. I'm not quite sure what the solution is to that, or how we come up with a solution to that, but it's certainly an issue. It's something I think about a lot. But as far as how things are going logistically, day to day and stuff, the parents that I speak to have really, for the most part, been very happy with how it's gone so far.
Anybody else have questions?
Can I ask the city a question?
Sure. Can I ask you a question first?
Oh, of course, you go ahead, yeah.
Okay, so, because our district kind of encompasses more than one county, how does that, do you have to look at both of those county statistics when it comes to determining?
Yeah, so, and I think this is one thing too that, in talking with local public health officials and the Minnesota Department of Health, I think if they could rewind how they rolled out the matrix associated with what learning model is appropriate where, I think they would have done that differently, because people immediately got fixated on a number. And I think that in all of my conversations with public health, that number is a data point. And there should be multiple data points that go into decision making. So there isn't this rush to have that sole number drive a decision. The other thing is we are doing a lot of data tracking locally, and quite honestly, that local data tracking is a far more important number than it is per se what, say, Stearns County number is. I mean, just the way the demographics in the county work right now, that St. Cloud and St. Cloud Metropolitan have about 65 to 70% of the county population, depending on how you want to calculate it. And so it's really important to be able to look at that as a data point, but not the data point. So yeah, we're doing that. We do that weekly. We have a team that gets together every Thursday. The Department of Health releases numbers that schools are using. By noon on Thursday, sometimes it's earlier, but Thursday afternoon at the end of school, then we have a local team that gets looking at that data and kind of having conversations about what does that data mean, how does it match with our local data, and then what is the potential next step that we need to do to respond to what the data is telling us.
Sounds like a lot of fun.
Well, I don't know, it's time, that's
Yeah.
for sure.
It's different times for sure.
Yeah.
Okay, you had a question for the city?
I just curious, you know, one of the things is, it's kind of COVID related, it kind of isn't. But one of the things that we're really trying to do is create more space. And right now, given that we're out of space, we're creating that space outdoors as well as indoors. I'm just curious, has the city have any concern with the school groups using gazebo park? Is that something that, is the city hearing any feedback on that? Because I do know if you drive by gazebo park during the school day, it's not common to see maybe a couple of students and a couple of adults that are over there. And I just don't know if there's been feedback or not with that.
I guess I have not heard anything negative, but heard several positives. From my point of view, I think it's great that the parks are being utilized like that. My park is good every year, you know, all the council members feel.
I haven't heard anything negative about either.
Okay.
So-
Same here. I was just asked, I mean, I don't know if you need somebody over there to help direct traffic when you've got large groups going across the street, but I don't want to speak for Paul, but I would think we'd be happy to help out if you'd ever need it, so.
And typically, when a group's going over there, there's always two adults that are with them. So I don't know that we would need any assistance like that. But I just want to make sure that we're being respectful of space. So I just want to ask that question.
No, we could help you by using the park, that's perfect. It should be used, there should be students over there. Yeah. It's great if you're using it. Excellent.
Yep. Any other questions? All right, can we hear from the township next?
Sure. So, project, we have several road projects this year. We just finally finished them off with Knife River. So hopefully a lot of the big trucks that you've seen through the community are going to be gone for a little bit, especially in our area for the most part. Mike Jensen has just come back off of medical leave, and I know that Mr. Mervin had also helped out in different scenarios with the food truck and stuff like that, so which is very nice, collaboratively working together as a community, which is very nice on our part, because we only have one person per se, one FTE, so having that ability to help with each other and stuff like that is always appreciated on our part. As we move forward, I think there's a lot of things that I can see that is coming up that is a foreshadowing for the township. Snow will be the next big thing for us to keep the roads and stuff like that, because I know how well snow, so I thought I'd throw that in there too. And so other than that, we're looking at that CARES Act again a little bit more closer on what that funding is that it means to us as a community and stuff like that. So, kind of back to you guys, CARES monies and stuff like that, but some of the things that you are seeing that you're going to be using that for, just so we can kind of figure out maybe how that might all look. I know there's specific things that we have to do or only can do with that monies. And then if you don't utilize it, obviously go back to the state and so on and so forth in different ways. So, other than that, it's going really well. And not a lot of things that are happening in our community. The fire department and the police patrol and stuff like that we've had arrangements with so far, and still working on very favorable for us and stuff like that. So, that's about it. I think what's happening in the township. Like I said, not a lot, too much. You guys have any questions for the township?
All right, Center Care, can you give us an update on what's going on over there?
Sure. Thanks for having a meeting today and letting us share some information. We've been like the school and everybody else in COVID up to our ears since March. And that certainly changed the way that we do business. We were basically shut down our services initially as COVID started, and as we began to ramp services back up. Where we're at right now is at or exceeding what our pre-COVID volumes were in our clinic and in our settings. And the challenge with that obviously has been changes in how we do business. Virtual visits, virtual care has become much more predominant in the way that we deliver care. We're actually on a track to be looking to provide about 40% of our patient care through virtual visits moving forward. It's been found to be a very effective platform within healthcare. It certainly addresses some of the access and some of the general concerns that people have had related to from COVID. And fortunately, the federal government has relaxed some of the restrictions around how those visits have been able to be provided in the past, as well as providing enhanced reimbursement to make them viable. The other piece related to that that is interesting is there has been a lot of discussion and interest at the state and federal level at dealing with the broadband issue and expansion of services to rural communities. And so that may be a nice byproduct that comes out of this work as the legislation continues to be focused on and move forward. We've really, for our purposes, we saw a spike in May in terms of volumes that we were seeing in the service area of center care. We went down in the summer, and presently we're back at or above volumes that we were seeing at that time. So we're seeing a lot more spread and increased numbers in terms of COVID positive patients and population. Some of the most recent data I received as of October 1st, there have been 100,200 positive cases in the state of Minnesota. This is information from the Minnesota Department of Health. And 2,049 deaths. 1,465 of those deaths have been in nursing home or assisted living facilities in the state. And of that population, nursing home and assisted living facilities represent 5% of that total. So you can see how, at least from the statewide average, it's certainly disproportionately affecting that population. So that's definitely making an impact on how our senior care facilities have been able to, or have not been able to, have visitation. We've basically been in lockdown since March. The Minnesota Department of Health guidelines and regulations that are also federal CMS guidelines have really become very restrictive in terms of what we can and can't do in terms of allowing that visitation. It's certainly created a lot of anxiety and stress for our residents, our tenants, family members, employees, all of that across senior care. We're not unique in that. Obviously, here in Painesville, it's a statewide and nationwide issue. Obviously, the goal around it is to keep people well and healthy. The challenge with that is it certainly put strain on mental health issues, depression, anxiety, all those kinds of things as well. So we've been working again with virtual care, trying to work through and address some of those things. We've been fortunate, summer has a lot of outdoor visitation and those types of things. The challenge will be now as the weather changes, how do we address that and be able to have people work through those issues and challenges. So a lot of work around COVID for us over the past 7 months. So I'd be happy to address any questions about that. The other big thing for us, and you'll see it in the paper, we had our district meeting last week for the Painesville Area Healthcare System Hospital District. And at that meeting, Center Care presented their letter of intent to exercise their option to take over ownership of the campus, the operations that Painesville Area Healthcare System had under the terms of our 2013 affiliation agreement. And as part of that, Central Care is making the commitment to move forward with our capital hospital and remodel project. We're estimating that to be a $17 to $20 million project. We're still working on timeline details, all of those pieces of it, but it's wonderful news for our campus and I think for the community to see that that investment will be coming here over the next 2 or 3 years. We expect that it's going to take at least a year to do the planning around that, and from there about 12, 15 months of construction time. So we're again in very, very early stages of moving forward with that project, but really excited about that opportunity again for our campus, for employees, and for our community. So those are a couple things that I wanted to highlight for you. Be happy to try to answer any questions that you might have.
I know maybe it's too soon for this, but is there any idea of, with that expansion and remodeling, like, will that be adding jobs here in the community?
I don't know that it necessarily will from that perspective. It's really replacing existing space. So I would say it's hard to tell at this point, but I wouldn't expect that would necessarily really to make our current spaces more functional and useful. Central Care has invested a little over $10 million in the first 7 years of the into the campus. So we're really trying to leverage that investment, as we move forward with additional investment in the campus. But I don't necessarily see that it would be, other than the construction period, obviously there would be a lot of activity. I'm sure like we're seeing at the school right now with contractors and that type of increased activity.
Yeah.
I was just going to say, I think you've answered this, but I'm going to ask it directly so that we know. Fairview just announced that they're closing Bethesda and St. Joseph's because of all the financial concerns because of COVID. Are you confident that Painesville is in decent enough standing to remain open for a remodel?
What's happened with COVID and the reimbursement, the CARES dollars, those kinds of things, the critical access hospitals have really fared fairly well in that process. And the Central Care system as a whole serves about 800,000 people across central Minnesota. So it's very large in terms of the geographic footprint that we have, as well as the breadth of services that are offered. And so the commitment has been to maintain those services. We're not seeing those types of announcements in our setting because we do benefit from, even St. Cloud benefits from a different geographic grouping than Metro. It's just a very different healthcare delivery system environment in the metropolitan areas than it is in the more rural settings. Doesn't mean that there couldn't be changes, huge economic downturn, more people on no pay situations or state pay, those kinds of things. There's always things that could be a significant impact on how things function, but certainly not where we're at this point.
Thanks.
Any other questions? All right, well, from the city standpoint, we are October 19th and 20th, we're going to be looking at our interviews for our new city administrator. So that's one of the major things going on for us right now. That Monday, there will be a public meet and greet in the afternoon. I don't have the times in front of me. Jennifer, do you remember?
4 to 6 at
4 to
the
6.
Greenwood Area Center.
Yep, and so that will be open for people to come and meet the candidates, and there will be an opportunity for public to give some feedback on each of the candidates. Do you want to talk about the COVID money?
Sure. We have gotten our COVID money. We've been earmarking that as we go. We have spent money on supplies, payroll, services, We did just get the word that we can potentially pull all of our public safety salaries that have happened in that window of time into our COVID monies, which would potentially benefit everybody in the community. We have had a couple townships that have called us to donate to our fire department. That is one use that they use for their COVID monies, which is wonderful. We are actually buying supplies for a second truck so that the fire department can separate firefighters as they go to calls. Has to be spent by November 15th and turned into the county. If not, I don't think that will be a problem. We have donated part of our money to the county small city relief fund that was for businesses to apply. We had 7 businesses within the city limits that did apply and receive money.
I think those checks were received today, at least by some of the businesses.
They've gone out in a couple different increments. They were waiting for some information from a couple of businesses, but stuff's done very well. My understanding is it was a pretty smooth process.
Did that money come from the state or the county?
Well, the original money was from the feds,
From the feds, okay.
and then that was allotted through the state to the different counties and cities. If our money is not spent, it goes back to the county, which then they have to give it back. They don't spend it by December 31st. But the actual small relief funds, what they did is the county earmarked their COVID monies to the tune of 25% of our COVID money that we received, that they would donate to our businesses as needed. And we, the city then said that they would give up to X amount of dollars, which was 30 at the time actually, but not enough businesses applied for the money, that this county did their 47,000, which was 25% of our 189,000, and then we kicked in the remaining $8,300, which covered all of the things.
I just asked because we just got $850 or whatever from the county COVID. And they're giving, I think, back to all hospitality-related businesses and licensing fees.
Yes, we have that actually in the city for the liquor licenses. They provide for everyone. That, I think, is on our national council audit. But you have to be careful with that because of lost revenue you cannot apply for. So that's kind of a basis with the state.
Are there any other highlights that I'm missing?
I guess I can just fill in, working with the township, again, they did contribute to our fishing pier this summer, which has gone for very well at the lake out there. Thank you much for that. And again, as Mark has alluded to, working with the township, we switch the township, we do use their tractor with the brush hog, so that does work back and forth very well, I think. There has been a little bit of renewed enthusiasm about completing the Glacier Lakes Trail. That's the trail that runs from Roman to Sunday to St. Cloud with one big empty spot right here. There was a whole short meeting on that, so let's hopefully push that through the next several years. Our street project, we finished our 2019 project. The next one actually will be back downtown again. That will be several years down the road, but it is on schedule. We did just complete an upgrade for our wastewater treatment, and that was specifically for our industries to allow them to send us a higher organic load. And then out at the airport too, we did complete a T hangar out there. We do have 8 more units. And they are all
But Matt, do you want to give us you're here representing the chamber? Is that?
Yeah, I'm here with Paul on the lodging tax.
Okay, so you're not. You want to give us a little update on what's going on with the chamber?
Sure. Can't talk about the mask. Yeah, one of our big things is Paul's going to be talking about the local lodging tax. Our events, of course, were quite effective this year. Our community events, we tried to do some things, but weren't able to. So we kind of spent this year doing some we really tried to focus on what value do we bring our businesses and what value do we bring to our community. And so we've been doing some strategic planning, doing some planning for the future of just what can the chamber do, and that fits in well with Paul's presentation tonight on the lodging tax. Just some basic information. The chamber, most of our members pay around $100 a year for dues for the chamber. So we don't have any paid staff. We're all volunteers. We put on the big events that we all know, the Town and Country Days, the Christmas, the annual meeting, Halloween. But we're looking at what can we do more for our businesses and what can we do more for just the community in general. New things we've done this year is we started as a partnership with Community Ed and the town, the Chamber of Commerce. We started a community talk show at the Talk of Painesville. We're on our 22nd episode, highlighting positive things we're doing. We kicked back our newsletters. I think we've done 21 newsletters already to our chamber members. We're just trying to add value back, and we have moved. We were downtown paying a lot for rent. We're now in the area center, so that the Green Roof Area Center, that helps them out with revenue. It helps us out too, because being we are just very virtual or mobile as an organization, we didn't really need bricks and mortar. So we're just really trying to gain ground and gain, I want to keep going back to, but show value to our businesses and our community. So we hope to do many new fun activities. Something new that we're working on for the winter is a decorating contest, because that's something that doesn't need congregation of people. Our Halloween, our fall festival is going to be downtown, and it's going to be more of like a trunk or treat to be able to space out. So the city will be seeing some road closure requests coming up. They're already, we had a new event this year planned, Painesville 400, a 400-meter sprint up the old ski hill at Crystal Hills Assembly. That got canceled, of course. We're looking forward to that new event next year. I was at the meeting that Ron talked about with the trail. If we could get the trail extended, there's many opportunities that the chamber could be, to advertise. We're in a really strategic location, Painesville, with even biking, because we have access to challenging around the lake is more challenging. We have the Glacial Lakes Trail, which is pretty flat and easy. If we could get a connection, even just from across 23 here to Roscoe, we could get on a nice grade all the way from here to Rockville, I think. And Rockville's in the stages of getting to St. Joe, and St. Joe gets you to the Lake Wobegon Trail, is my understanding. So there's lots of opportunities and of things we're looking towards the future here for the chamber. Any other questions?
All right. I guess I didn't ask. Anybody have any questions for the city?
I did have just a couple things I wanted to, especially for the school starting. Just want to make sure you're aware that there are no driver's license testing being done in Painesville, and that is indefinite. I don't know when that'll happen. We had a liaison here from the state today, and there's no talk about those coming back at this point. Online testing is becoming available. We don't know a lot of it yet, but it's going to become available this year. The kids do have to have an appointment to go to Wilmer or St. Cloud to take that testing. And when they go there, then they cannot apply. They would have to come back here to apply or go to another location to apply. With the Real ID and the Enhanced, if you want somebody from our office to come out, if you have a parent-student meeting or something, they can come out and maybe explain the differences, because the kids don't have to have those until they're 18. Something we could offer. And the only other thing I want to mention is we are doing absentee ballots. We're taking them in our office, and the week prior to the election, you can actually vote here in person. And we took in 11 absentees today alone.
And that'd be city only for absentee ballots, city residents, or be township, I wish you might.
Nope, I believe we can take them in for township also.
All right, well, let's move on to the local lodging tax then.
Okay. I don't know how to talk to these, but,
You can-
many of you are probably familiar, a lot of cities do a local lodging tax. And that's, the statutes have changed a little bit over the years, and now they're basically that local lodging establishments, with the permission of the local units of government, the township and the city in this case, can charge up to 3% of lodging receipts for a local lodging tax, and 95% of that tax has to be spent on tourism promotion for the community, for the area, whoever's involved with that area. And Matt and I were talking, I guess last spring sometime, and Matt was just asking from the standpoint of the chamber, what could the chamber do to help the local tourism? And I said, well, they could help promote tourism in the area. And then we visited a little bit, and I mentioned to Matt the awareness, my awareness of this lodging tax. It's generally occurred in larger cities. Twin Cities certainly has it, Duluth has it, Rochester has it, St. Cloud has it. St. Cloud also has a Convention Visitors Bureau tax on top of the local lodging tax. But it generates money to promote the area. Matt and I met with, her name is Chris Rich. She kind of oversees the Painesville Inn and Suites. The company she works for oversees many lodging motel type properties around the state and in the Dakotas, I think. And it sounded like all of their properties have a local lodging tax. Painesville being the only one I think that does not. And I'm not sure what the formalities are at this point for the city or the township to approve approve that tax. But once it's approved, the tax can be assessed on our lodging properties. And the city and the township, and Matt, I think you told me a little bit more about this, can serve and be paid out of that other 5% as the collection vehicle. And so once a month, when we submit our state sales tax, we would also submit that those lodging tax receipts in the form of a check to who's ever administering the tax collection, so to speak, of it. And then they, I'm not sure the frequency, but will issue a check. And in this case, we talked about that check would come to the Chamber of Commerce. And the Chamber would be the one that would, I'm sure with our input, that would be the one to do tourism promotion for the area. So that's kind of the basics of it. Matt, you might be able to share a little bit more about it. I don't envision it would be a lot of receipts. When we visited with the Painesville Inn and Suites, they indicated that they may do $600,000, $700,000, $800,000 a year in gross lodging receipts, and Rugby Hive is about $1 million a year. And so you can kind of figure the 3% of that is what our community, our chamber might have available for promoting Painesville. It doesn't hurt. I know my dad and I, years ago, we would talk about this, and of course my dad was opposed to any kind of tax, so he's like, no, should we do this? But every Brainerd, again, is another big area that does, every tourism community has a lodging tax. And in essence, your guests are paying for us to promote our area. Our guests are paying for our community to promote our area. And in talking with Chris Rich, she feels that guests just come to expect it. That's a fee that they just expect to pay, and it isn't that big of an intrusion on that additional 3%. That's over and above the sales tax. So that's what we're here to just present and mention, and I'm sorry I don't know more of the formalities at this point. The the statute on it, I don't have that in front of me, Matt, it's good.
Yeah, I actually sent it to Belinda and Ron and to you, Mark, just now, tonight. I sent you the link to the state statute, so
And
you
it's
want to share
only
that with the
like
council.
2 pages long, it's a very brief statute and just gives the overview of what's involved with it.
And I have sample ordinances I can share with both the city and the township if you want to go down that avenue. So that's funded, like Paul said, it has to go to a convention and visitors bureau, which chambers of commerce can act as your local CVB. So, and that would be consistent money that the chamber could then use to invest in and have consistency to build tourism, to really provide programs and provide opportunities and consistent messaging.
And I, from my perspective, of course, being in the business, but I always maintain we have a greater proximity to the Twin Cities and central Minnesota than Brainerd does, than any of the other major tourist destinations in the state. And that's what I'm always kind of banking on, that we can keep building our business because we have a great proximity to the Twin Cities and for southern Minnesota. It doesn't hurt for us to get our name out there. I think Painesville, Lake Corona's place, they are some of the best kept secrets in the state of Minnesota. And why not get the word out and get some more tourism coming here? I don't think there's any question, and Matt can maybe back me up, but the summer is the busiest time for our community, not only because of tourists here, but of course the lake, people that have places at the lake. But it's also interesting. I would guess there's 100 or so people that have homes on the lake that were introduced to Lake Cronus, like we have people who ultimately either move up here for retirement or have their lake places or whatever else, came here initially as a tourist, as a guest. And so let's get the word out and see what we can do to draw more people into our community.
So the specifics of it are the township would just need to pass an ordinance and the city would need to pass an ordinance with a start date, and we could get the process. We would like to see a January 1st that this could take off and start, so we could plan for our budget and start planning for our promotions for the year. And as Paul said, it's no local tax. I mean, I shouldn't say no, but it's majority is outside gas coming. If locals come and stay at Bugby, they would pay that, but or at the hotel. But
and it's Chris Rich from the Angel Suites, and Matt and I were talking. We certainly could add 3% onto our room charges, and we could, in our minds, earmark that for publicity or promotion. But this allows the community to use those monies for broader tourism promotion than just us using it for our own advertising budgets.
Would you anticipate having an exclusion for, like B&Bs, or would you anticipate trying to cover all?
Yeah, thanks. That's a good question, Bill. No, it's a good question, because I would not see them being excluded. And I'm not even sure what B&Bs may exist in the area. I know there are, on Lake Corona's 4 or 5 now, VRBO vacation rentals by owner. And technically, they are subject to the same taxes and the same rules and regulations, if you will, same inspections and everything else that commercial properties are subject to. So I would see those properties being included as well.
and those are in the sample ordinances I have. Those are specifically addressed. They did say, I've talked with the CBB from the state, and they, or that oversees the state, and they say those are sometimes harder to collect from.
Right.
But
technically, by law, they're required to collect sales tax.
I think I've looked at some ordinances though that had an exclusion for places with small numbers of rooms. I mean, it's just a matter of preference. I think I've seen some examples where they don't, some where they do, and this is a good question. But I don't see a logical reason for excluding them. It's just, the collection problem you have, and some of them are irregularly used, knowing when they're rented would be different.
Just to throw it in from the township standpoint.
Actually, I And just at a glance, I think that would be a fantastic way of exploring an idea of being able to do something with the township and the city and the community all together and promote the layout of what we are offering here, no matter if it's just resorts, it could be, a school, it could be a lot of different things, that also the hospital could be also part of that broader thing of why people would want to be drawing to an area for their vacation, because now you kind of hit some of those different areas or activities that can be drawn to other people here. So at a glance, I guess, I don't think I'd really like to look further into it and see what it actually means and how we will proceed with that.
The only concern that I would have, just from the city's perspective, is that I think the chamber would need to be in communication with the city and the township about their intentions for spending, because there's a statutory requirement that it be, that 95% be used for certain things, and I think there's been a lot of back and forth with the state government over what is and isn't included in that language, and I think we have to be careful that we don't create a problem for ourselves, but, I think we just have to.
That's a good point. There's been, I don't know, that's controversial, but occasionally there's been some cities who have tried to stretch that definition of tourism promotion and try to subsidize, I think there's been an example of subsidizing an ice arena. And they weren't that big gifted when it came out within the tourism promotion.
But like you see Attorney General opinions where they say, well, maybe promoting baseball tournament really does promote the community, but you guys just always promote baseball tournaments in order. That's just like just baseball. You're also leery about putting a lot of money into your town and country days. If it's an event that you always do anyway, and it's really kind of for the locals, cities have tried to buy band uniforms for the high school. I mean, you get people that always want to push the envelope on this stuff. So you have to be a little cautious.
That's where I would make up of that committee, the tourism businesses, the chief representatives in the township and the city, and they'd be the ones to determine how it's going to be extended. And not that it's a huge amount of dollars, but every little bit helps.
We have a policy meeting we have to get to at 6 o'clock, so we're good.
Yeah. Thanks for coming.
Thanks a lot.
So we'll just try to, next step, put together some ordinance, so to speak, to the township and the city to look at, and see if it's something that you'd like to put on your agenda for approval. I don't think it requires anything to go before the public for a referendum of sorts.
Just the local electors,
Yeah.
set the ordinance. And we, as a chamber, we weren't interested in moving forward unless we have 100% approval of our main people that would be collecting the tax. That's what, Paul brought to us, and then we met with the people in Suites, and we wanted 100% majority to be able to move forward with the city and township that those are the businesses that are collecting it, they want to do it. So, to us, it's
It could be a hospitality tax. So then all or any hospitality related businesses, restaurants, bars, golf course, whatever, could be, but no, it's not. You can't say strictly a hotel lodging tax, only lodging products.
Paul, do you know Spicer? Do they have one?
it's funny you bring that up because, New London, Chris Rich, their company manages the new golf course hotel, and she said that is the only property that doesn't have it yet, but they're in process. So their community right now is setting up their CBP and actually instituting the lodging tax right now. So,
I'd be surprised if Spicer did.
yeah, it's probably part of that same New London Spicer, I don't know.
I did get a list of all the communities in the state, and I don't remember that they were on there. Do you
Yeah,
remember?
and I know that was 2019 from, so I don't know what's happened in the last year.
I mean, you see this all over, and people really don't even think about it. You're on vacation, you pay the price. Park Rapids, I know I paid it.
I grumble a little bit, but
It's just part of what it is.
it's interesting, because Spicer, of course, they got a new hotel there, but there's no more resorts in the lake.
No.
I don't know what other lodging they have.
That's the thing, so letting us be on this. We're really glad to be on here with both the township and the city main entities that would be involved in this at the same meeting. So thank you for letting us this.
Thank
Like
you.
I said, Lily, you want me to send some sample ordinances? Mark, I can send that to you. Yep. Just kind of keep it going.
Yeah, great.
Mhm.
Thank you.
Thank you guys for coming. And then the last thing is, if it's all right that we do these biannually and set another one in April. If that's all right with the hospital and the township. I think it's just important to keep those communication lines open and good, so. All right. Do you want us to set that tonight, Jennifer, or do you want to?
Not necessarily.
Okay.
You want to go April and October, correct?
Seems like it's,
That is what they've done in the past.
yeah.
I think that's what we should stay with.
All right, and then with that, we will adjourn. Yeah, we'll adjourn.